When something profound begins to stir within a human being, it is not always a gentle whisper. It is not always a soft breeze of bliss. Many times it comes like a storm, uprooting everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world. What we call a spiritual crisis in the language of yoga, we simply say the energy has moved, but the person has not yet become ready. In today's world, when such moments arrive, they are often mistaken for illness. If someone is shaking uncontrollably, if visions flood their mind, if laughter or tears come without apparent reason, immediately, the mental health system may label it as disorder. But you must understand, there is a profound difference between disease and discovery. Now, let me be very clear. This does not mean that every disturbance of the mind or emotion is spiritual in nature. Please do not fall into that illusion. There are very real mental health challenges that require proper care and treatment. But there are also genuine spiritual emergencies. The difficulty lies in discernment. Without cultural understanding, without spiritual literacy, without religious competence, how can one tell the difference? Consider this. In one culture, if a young woman begins to dance in a trance-like state, they may say she is possessed by evil spirits. In another, they will declare her blessed, touched by the divine. And in yet another, they may rush her to a hospital, diagnosing her with a psychiatric condition. The same experience, but 3 entirely different interpretations. This is why it is so crucial for healers, for doctors, for spiritual seekers that we cultivate a deeper understanding of human possibility. We must look beyond just the physical and psychological realms. When Kundalini energy rises or any form of inner awakening occurs, there are indeed risks involved. If the body is not properly prepared, if the mind lacks stability, this surge of energy can bring about great imbalance. People may feel detached from reality, unable to cope with the demands of daily life. Some may even experience what appears to be psychosis. If you push someone through this process without the right preparation, it is like forcing high voltage current through a fragile wire. Inevitably, the wire burns. So the responsibility here is threefold. First, seekers must approach spiritual practices with humility, not with ambition or the desire for power. Second, mental health professionals must receive training in cultural and spiritual literacy. This way, they do not risk crushing a genuine awakening beneath the weight of pathology. And third, our communities must learn to support these experiences, not to fear them, not to judge them, but to create safe spaces where such profound shifts can be grounded and integrated. But always, always remember this. Not every flicker of imagination is an awakening. Not every vivid dream is a divine vision. If you mistake every shadow for the touch of the divine, you will surely lose your way on this path. Let me share a story with you. Once, there was a man who, after just a few weeks of intense spiritual practice, began to see lights and hear mysterious sounds. He became utterly convinced that he had attained enlightenment. In his delusion, he declared himself a guru, abandoned his work, and demanded worship from those around him. But his mind was not steady, his foundation was weak. His life quickly collapsed around him. What could have been a beautiful doorway to growth became a trap, all because he mistook instability for awakening. So my caution to you is this: whether you walk this path as a seeker or as a healer, tread carefully. The inner journey is not entertainment. It is not something to be rushed or taken lightly. With proper guidance, with patience, and with keen discernment, what begins as crisis can blossom into profound flowering. But without these elements, that which has the potential to liberate may instead destroy. In the realm of psychiatry, we must expand our understanding. A person in the midst of spiritual emergence may exhibit symptoms that overlap with certain disorders. They may speak of energies moving through their body, of visions, of a sense of unity with all things. To the untrained eye, this might look like mania or psychosis. but context is everything. We need a bridge between the ancient wisdom traditions and modern mental health care. Psychiatrists and therapists must be willing to explore the possibility that not all unusual experiences are pathological. They must learn to ask different questions. Has this person been engaged in intensive spiritual practice? Do these experiences align with known patterns of awakening in various traditions? Is there an underlying sense of meaning or growth, even amidst the chaos? At the same time, spiritual teachers and communities must recognize when someone truly needs professional help. Not every difficulty is a dark night of the soul. Sometimes mental illness is simply mental illness, and it requires appropriate treatment. The goal should be integration, honoring the spiritual dimension of human experience, while also ensuring safety and stability. For those undergoing such experiences, it can be profoundly disorienting. You may feel as though your very sense of self is dissolving. The world may seem suddenly strange, both terrifying and beautiful in ways you cannot articulate. Know that you are not alone. Throughout history, mystics and sages have described similar states. The key is to find support, both spiritual guidance and, when needed, mental health professionals who understand these territories. If you are supporting someone in such a state, patience and presence are crucial. Create a calm environment. Help them stay grounded through simple activities, walking in nature, caring for plants, gentle physical work. Encourage them to express their experiences through art or writing. Most importantly, listen without judgment. Your steady presence can be an anchor in stormy seas. For mental health professionals, I urge you to expand your training. Study the maps of consciousness provided by contemplative traditions. Learn to recognize the signs of spiritual emergence versus mental illness. Develop treatment approaches that honor both the need for stability and the potential for growth. Your role may be to help someone navigate this territory safely, not to pathologize every unusual experience. To spiritual seekers, I say this: respect the power of these practices. Do not rush. Build a strong foundation of ethics, of emotional stability, of physical health. Work with qualified teachers who understand both the promises and the pitfalls of the path. If intense experiences arise, do not cling to them or push them away. Simply observe, breathe, and seek guidance when needed. Remember, the goal of spirituality is not to escape reality, but to embrace it more fully. True awakening brings greater engagement with life, not detachment from it. It fosters compassion, clarity, and a deep sense of purpose. If your practices are leading you away from these qualities, pause and reassess. In the end, whether we call it spiritual crisis or psychiatric emergency, what matters most is how we respond. With wisdom, with compassion, and with an open mind, we can create a culture that honors the full spectrum of human experience. We can learn to differentiate between that which truly needs healing and that which is simply the growing pains of an expanding consciousness. If you keep yourself balanced, open, and humble, then the rising of energy is not crisis, but grace. It is an invitation to know yourself more deeply, to shed old limitations, and to step into a fuller expression of your true nature. May we all learn to navigate these waters with skill, supporting each other as we grow into our highest potential.